Hello and welcome back to the Pro Football Historian channel. I am Flynn Given. We are going to recap Thursday Night Football and preview the Sunday games and Monday night. Let's just start off with the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Minnesota to play the Vikings yesterday. So, in this game, obviously, if you watched it, wasn't a great first half if you weren't a Vikings fan or, a fantasy football Dalvin Cook owner. But after the maybe mid third quarter, Pittsburgh started to score some touchdowns, and it became a game at the very end. Ultimately, it came down to the last play where Freiermuth couldn't hold on to the ball, with Harrison Smith defending the pass. They threw the pass at the 12 into the end zone, and ultimately they came up short. They would need to get a 2 point after that just to tie it. It would have been the largest comeback in regular season history in the NFL. And unfortunately for Pittsburgh, now they're 6-6-1. Minnesota keeps their season alive at 6-7. Won't go over anything else about that game. It was what it was. It was a very exciting game at the end, but for the most part, the rest of the game wasn't really. Let's go into the Falcons and the Panthers. So this game is at 1 o'clock. Last time they played, the Panthers came out with a victory. I think it was around like 19-13 to score. Again, the Panthers have only, if you looked at they were 3-0, so they've only won 2 out of the last 9 games. So I'm going to assume most people are going with the Falcons just because of recent history. I think Carolina's still more talented, and their defense is still pretty good. If I had to pick this game, even though everything is going Atlanta's way or looks like Atlanta, I'm just going to go with the more talented team. The team that came off a bye. I just think they're just a better football team, even though the last 2 months has not looked good. Before we let's look at the injury report. So with the Falcons, I want to say there's anything. I mean, obviously Patterson didn't practice, but he did play last week. I'm going to assume he's going to play. Fabian Monroe, you would like them to play, but you don't. Not necessarily someone you need. And Lee Smith's one of the blocking tight ends. Other than that, it looks like Richie Grant's going to play. And for the Panthers, they just came off a bye. There's not much they're going to miss. Maybe some offensive line help, and Daquan Jones could help too if they had him. It doesn't look like they're going to play. So let's go on the next game. Ravens Browns. Let's go over this quickly. Obviously, they played 2 weeks ago. Browns haven't played another opponent since then, since they had a bye. I think injuries have just been hurting Baltimore, and now it's even losing Marvin Humphreys. It's going to really hurt. If I had to pick, I'm just gonna go with Cleveland. I'm losing faith in Baltimore. Not that I had a lot of faith. I think the record is way better than actually the team or the talent that they have with the injuries. Obviously, if they didn't have all the injuries they've had, they would have been, a very, very good team, which the record shows they are. But Browns are more desperate. They have to have this. I think the Browns are going to win this game. Let me see if I can find the injury report. But yeah, again, they played a couple weeks ago. It's probably going to be a very similar game. Again, a lot for Baltimore. Not going to take too much time looking at overall that. But a lot of guys probably not going to play. And for the Browns, off a bye, they have a decent injury report still. Looks like Rodney Harrison might go. Baker Mayfield, obviously will go. And Malik Jackson probably not going to go. Taki, he's full participant. So, hopefully get J.G. Treader. That would help them as well in the offensive line. And Landry, they're not very deep at receiver, so if he could play, that would help as well. Next game, Seattle and Houston. This is, by record-wise, maybe the worst game this week. I think Seattle's obviously a little bit better than the record, but you know, I don't view they're not they have to win every game based to have a chance at the playoffs. And I think they should win this game at Houston. I think last week I think their offense looked better than they really should. It's just they attacked the 49ers corner, which most teams should. And it was a lot of one-on-one matches on the outside, man to man on third down. And DK Metcalf and Lockett, they just took advantage of that with Russell Wilson. And ultimately, if they didn't fumble and screw it up, the 49ers would have been way out of it. But both teams kind of screwed it up. And it allowed, the 49ers to go down the field and almost tie last week. And in Houston, they're arguably, I know a lot of people could pick the line. I think they're probably the worst team in the league. They have a lot of depth, but they're just not very talented. And I can't, other than the week one game that they played, I don't think I picked them all year, and I want to pick them this week. Now, I'll try to find the injury report for this game. Yeah, I don't know if Houston's going to win another game. We will see, I guess. And that they'll be competing with the Lions for the number one pick. I don't know how I missed them. Let me just type Texas. Okay, so I think for the Seahawks, DJ Reed's probably going to play. Jamal Adams is obviously out for the year, and Diggs did not practice, so that doesn't help them. Also, Dunlap didn't practice. Dwayne Brown didn't practice. Gabe Jackson didn't practice. So, and then Alex Collins is limited. I'm going to assume he's probably going to play. Usually when you're limited, well, if you're limited all week, you're probably not going to play. But they need, and obviously they have Adrian Peterson and guys like that might be able to fill the hole. And Homer, guys, running backs like that. And the Texans, long injury list. Tyrod Taylor's actually on it. I didn't know that. But he's a full participant. So, then you got Brandon Cooks limited. So, nice, if they have Brandon Cooks and guys like that. Offensive lineman, the Titus Howard is limited. So, we'll see. Let's go on to the next game of the Chiefs and the Raiders. This game happened about a month ago on Sunday Night Football. I think the Chiefs' offense just matches up well against what the Raiders like to do on defense. So I don't expect them to stop Kansas City, even though Kansas City has not looked great on offense this year. I think this is one of the teams they will look really good on offense and look like the last year or the year before. For the Raiders, if you looked over the last, I don't know, since John Gruden basically got resigned or fired, however you want to put it, their offense has had maybe one good game, like the Cowboys game. Besides that, they really haven't done much on offense. And Kansas City's defense has looked pretty good. I don't know if the Raiders will. I think it's gonna be similar to the last time they played. Don't know if the Raiders are going to get the 20, and if they pretty much need to get the 30 to win this game, and I just don't see it. And I see Kansas City probably getting around 30 points, if not more. I'm going to see if I can find the injury report. So, Kenny Drake obviously got hurt. He's not going to play, it looks like. Probably out for the year from what I think I've read and heard. And Nate Hobbs is full participant. Unique Ngakwe, they would love to have him. And Josh Jacobs, full participant. Darren Waller, we don't know if he's going to play. And Jonathan Abram, he's full participant. So you hope they're healthy because they need everyone for that game. And for the Chiefs, not much injuries, honestly. Full participant for Chris Jones. And, everyone they, is a starter they need or would love to have looks like they're going to play this week. Saints Jets. Not a ton to say. The Jets were like fully healthy, maybe they could slow down the run. But with all the injuries and how they played the last few weeks, I just don't see them stopping. They might be able to slow down the Saints, but I think the Saints could get to 20. Taysom Hill's injury, with the finger, who knows how relevant that will be in this game. And the Jets offense, I just can't see them doing much. The Saints defense is really good. And really, for most of the part of the year, other than maybe the Eagles game, the Saints defense has been awesome. They just been on the field a lot. Let me see if I can find the injury report for this game. So for the Saints, mostly Taysom Hill for participant. Kamara looks like he's going to go. Well, Jordan Humphrey's limited. Uh, for the Saints, like the receiving core of the Saints isn't very good, and I say anyone you have, you're not going to have a big drop off, but you would love to have your starters out there. I don't know, Humphrey really is a starter, but he's definitely a role player for them. Davenport's limited as well. Ramchak did not practice, so they're probably not going to have him again, and maybe they'll have Armstead. He's limited. Jets, I know Mosley's hurt. I think he's going to go, but who knows? Franklin Myers, they would love to have. Ryan Griffin got hurt last week. He's limited. Zach Wilson still full participant. I know he has that knee brace or whatever on his leg. And looks like Tevin Coleman might not go. So and Duvernay and look, Elijah Moore is probably their number one at this point. Corey Davis being hurt and him just playing well the last month or so. And they're going to be limited on offense, and it's going to be the Saints defense they play. So I just can't see the Jets scoring more than like 13 points. Like last week, I don't think they scored a second half point. Let's move on. A rivalry game in Tennessee versus Jacksonville. Again, Tennessee should win this game. Jags offense is one of the worst in the NFL point wise. And Tennessee, their defense is still playing pretty well. As well as the offense has looked a little better for Tennessee. It's not. We'll see, I guess. I think they just came up. They're coming off a bye. Jacksonville has some decent injury, like James Robinson. I think he's going to go, even though he did not participate. We'll see, though. Marvin Jones should play. Brendan Linder did not participate, so that's going to probably hurt them in the offensive line. Tennessee, a lot of full participants, it looks like. I'm just looking quick. I do not see anything major that would hurt them. Maybe Jordan Jenkins not playing because he did not participate. I don't know if he will go. But yeah, Tennessee should win this game by a few scores. I know it's a rivalry game. Maybe it'll be closer than that, but I really don't see Jacksonville scoring a lot, kind of like the Jets. Let's go with maybe the biggest 1 o'clock game, the football team versus the Dallas Cowboys. Very hard game to pick. The Cowboys have the better record. It looked like they were going to win this division pretty handily, and now that Washington's only 2 games back, they have 2 times they have to play Dallas. So really, it's in both their fates and their destinies are in their hands. And Washington just looked better. I know they have a lot of injuries. If you look, a lot of limiteds. I wouldn't say any. There's no definite like they're not going to play. It looks like that are going to be key players for them. And then for Dallas, they got relatively healthy the last few weeks, but now they have Tony Pollard injured and Ezekiel Elliott's still dealing with that. I believe it's a knee injury. So again, like I would, if I had to pick, I would pick Washington just because they just look like the better team. They every week, if you look at Washington on film, they have the right game plan for that game. Might not be the prettiest, but they know what they need to do, and they need to keep the ball away. That's what they do. They can throw. They let Heineke, throw to McLaurin and Logan Thomas, but Logan Thomas is now hurt. So I just love how they play. Their coaching staff, Ron Rivera, they're very, very good in figuring out how they attack teams. And Dallas been really up and down. They haven't looked the same the last few weeks. And with Pollard just being, if he doesn't play or he's not fully healthy, it's probably going to hinder them because Elliott hasn't looked the same. And when Dallas can't run the ball, effectively their passing attack teams seem to play the two deep safeties and just slow them down because at least they have Maury Cooper and C.D. Lamb back the last week or so. And if Micah Parsons seems limited, I think he's going to be fine, but we'll see. If he doesn't play, that's going to really hurt their defense because they really need him. They need Diggs. They don't have they're getting healthy. They have some pass rushers, but overall their defense isn't that talented. They have like some stars and some good players, but there's some weaknesses on that team. And then Washington's going to try to attack them as best as possible. And again, we'll see. I mean, they play twice. I would assume they might split one each. And I'm just going to go Washington. They look like the better team. They're home. Again, Dallas had a few more days of prepare since they play Thursday, but if I had to pick, I would go with Washington. Detroit and Denver. Denver's so inconsistent. I could see them losing this game, but I think they should take care of this game. It might be low scoring. Teddy Bridgewater might keep this game a 13-10 game or something like that, and eventually maybe Denver can pull it out. Detroit, they have to keep low scoring. Their offense isn't. I mean, last week was probably one of their highest scoring output all year, I would think. Just off the top of my head. And I don't see them doing that with Denver. Denver's defense is pretty good. Again, and look at the Detroit injury report. It's very, very long. It might be the biggest we've seen so far. And a lot of didn't have participants, so they're going to be very banged up in this game. They came off a win. I think they got what they wanted. They got their win, and I don't know if they're going to come the next week and play their best football. Denver is even pretty healthy, actually. It's really just how their offense plays. If their offense can score 20-some points, they should be fine. Denver should win this game. They're the big favorite. Let's move on to the Giants-Chargers game. We don't know who the quarterback will be for the Giants. It seems like it's going to be Jake Fromm. And if that's the case, I give him very little chance since the Giants haven't been able to run the ball really all year. This is the team you could run the ball since Chargers' run defense is very bad. And last week, though, it showed up. It slowed down the Bengals' offense. The Chargers, they seemed like they wanted to attack downfield finally. Like they didn't do it for a lot of weeks, the whole year, really. Very few big plays, very few times that they design plays to throw down the field, which Herbert's great at. I don't know why they didn't do it more. They did a lot of like the last few years of the Saints offense with Lombardi as offensive coordinator. And hopefully they keep attacking downfield. This might be not the team to do it. The Giants are very good coach defense, and they're not a team that will give up a lot of huge plays. So the Chargers might have to play somewhat ugly game, but I don't see the Giants scoring much. Maybe Barkley can run against that defense, or Booker, whoever's going to be at running back. Obviously, they split a lot. It's mostly Barkley, though. But Jake Fromm is the quarterback. I just don't see how they do much on offense. That's why I would pick the Chargers to win this game. Moving on, we got the 49ers Bengals. Very interesting game. You could argue this might be the best game of the week. I mean, we got this Buffalo game next we can talk about, and even the Monday night game. So some good games, honestly, coming up that we're going to talk about. In this game, if I just had to pick, I'm going with the Bengals. Even though they're both teams are kind of hard to trust. I think the 49ers are probably a little bit better, but they're just more banged up, and they rely more on their star players. If you saw last week, no Fred Warner, no Deebo Samuel, weren't really the same team the last 3 weeks we've seen. For the Bengals, they have a great offense. They kind of blew it last week. Should have won. They played the Chargers 10 times. They should win like 6 or 7 times. They were down 24-0. They put themselves in a big hole and had to come back. Ultimately didn't do it. But this is a team with those receivers against the 49ers corners. I don't see why they wouldn't attack that. And you see the 49ers are still banged up. Looks like Fred Warner's going to go, but they won't Debo Samuel again. It should be a very interesting game. I really like this game. You don't see it very often. They only play every 4 years. So, unique matchup. And, hopefully Joe Mixon plays. He's injured. And that's really all I got to say about this game. Should be very interesting, like I said. Buffalo, Tampa Bay. If I had to lean in this game, who I pick probably would be the Buccaneers. I think they're just a little bit more talent and they rely less. They have more ways to defeat or beat the other team. The Bills on offense is really just can Josh Allen throw to win the game, or can their defense just completely shut down the opponent? And Buffalo, the run D is not the greatest because they just don't have a lot of big people up front. And when a team can run the ball, I think Tampa Bay is one of those teams that can run the ball. I think it makes it tough for the defense to be as great as some weeks that you see that Buffalo just shut down opponents. If it was like a pass heavy team, I could see how Buffalo would shut them down, but Tampa Bay could do anything and everything they want. And even though they haven't always played their best football this year, I think they're the slightly better team. I still like Buffalo. It'd be surprising to see them going to start, to be 7-6. But that's how I see it. I just see Tampa Bay having more ways to win. I think they're going to come in at home. They've been pretty good at home this year. I think they're going to take care of business. Going to the Sunday night game, the Packers and the Bears. Again, I'm going to say 90% of you were picking the Packers for this. Again, long injury report for the Bears and the Packers. Not so much for the Packers, I guess. But they have a lot of guys on the PUP list and stuff like that. I don't see Bakhtiari playing. There might be a chance that Alexander plays, but I think that's even more unlikely. I think they're going to hold him off at least one more week, if not two. Looks like Kevin King's going to return. They might not have Mercedes Lewis, which they don't have him. It's really just Jaguar they will have, and some other very young tight ends that haven't played much. They have Daphne as well and stuff like that. Cobb's going to be out for a good amount of time. I would assume until the playoffs. Adams limited, and Rodgers again hasn't practiced. It's been like 2 months almost at this point. He hasn't practiced. Bears, they really need Akeem Hicks. He's limited. We'll see if he plays. Al Robinson limited. And then limited David Montgomery. And Andy Dalton did not practice, so looks like Justin Fields will go though. But they're not going to be at full strength, and Green Bay's home. The only way I see Chicago is if they just run the ball, get 150 some yards, something like that. They keep it close, and even then, I don't know if I see them winning. It's going to take a lot for the Bears to pull off this upset. That's why I would just Green Bay is, I think 12.5 points, something like that, favorites. Most likely they should take care of business. They're home. Very good team. They're starting to get healthy. I think this next stretch, Green Bay should be playing their best football since they really haven't all year. They put good halves, good games just on the defense, good games just on the offense. They haven't played a complete game, which eventually you would hope they will be able to in the next few weeks with guys coming back. Maybe the biggest game this week, the Arizona Cardinals hosting the Rams. And for this game, obviously the Cardinals won earlier in the year. The Rams, I think, won the previous 8 games, though, against the Cardinals. So, very hard game to pick. This is even very tough to pick right now. I think I'm just going to go with the split on the year, even though I think Arizona, they have more ways to win. They look like the better team. They're home, but if you've seen home this year, that's the only time Arizona's losses at home. I think the Rams will. I think this will be gonna be a close game. I know last time it only was close at the beginning, and Arizona kind of pulled away. And and then they're relatively healthy, both teams. I see Cooper Kupp playing. So both teams should be pretty healthy going into this game. But I would pick the Rams, if especially with the points. I think they're going to be getting points. Um, Again, this could go either way. Really don't know who's going to win that game. That's all the games. Thanks for watching. We'll do the recap of these games on Monday. And every week we'll go back and review these games and preview them. Again, thanks for watching and have a nice day.